big story of the day. The Supreme Court delivered a judgment on a bunch of petitions challenging the special intensive revision of the electoral rolls in Bihar. In its verdict, the Supreme Court has held the validity of the Election Commission's role in conducting the SIR process. The court has said that it can't be said that the ECI acted outside the statutory powers by exercising the SIR powers. The question is, will the opposition now listen into the reactions coming in?
I'm surprised that people were actually challenging it. They only had to pick up the Constitution of India. Article 324 empowers the Election Commission to conduct elections, and therefore, in a democracy, there have to be free and fair elections. There cannot be any basis for a false vote, a foreigner having an illegally registered vote, a person who has passed away with time, his vote continuing and someone else misusing it, or what is called a ghost vote. Somebody does not exist and a false vote is created. That is why you have these special intensive drives in terms of updating the voter list, and that is in the interest of free and fair elections.
My colleagues Bhavtosh Singh and Ridita are joining us on the broadcast. Also on the broadcast with us, Shashank Shekhar Jha, advocate of the Supreme Court, Shekhar Iyer, senior journalist, as well as R. Rajagopalan, senior journalist on the broadcast with us. But first, let me take this across to Bhavtosh to get us the details of what the Supreme Court has said. And Bhavtosh, there were opposition leaders who have been raising questions on the SIR process multiple times in the course of the elections. What has the Supreme Court said? Tell us point by point what the Supreme Court has said in striking out these concerns of the opposition leaders.
Well, basically what the Supreme Court has said, Pratibha, is that it has cleared all the ambiguity about the SIR process. It has said for a free and fair elections in the country, SIR process is required. It has further said that within Article 326 of India's Constitution and also within the powers of People's Representation Act, Election Commission of India is duty bound to carry out SIR, and all the questions or contentions that have been raised by various opposition leaders have been negated by the bench of the Chief Justice of India, Suryakant. Quoting from what the court has given its order, he has further said that we are unable to conclude that the impingement exercise is a process restored to slowly for administrative convenience. On the contrary, we hold that the electoral SIR advances the constitutional imperative for a free and fair elections. Basically, it has said that for requirement of free and fair election in the country, SIR is required. He has further said, the bench has further said that SC has said that Election Commission of India cannot determine citizenship of a voter. Now, what had happened is that Election Commission of India had says the Supreme Court has said that the 12th document for any voter is Aadhaar, but it had also said that Aadhaar cannot be the identity proof. It cannot be the citizenship proof. It at best can only be an identity proof. We have to wait and see what would be the final, what would be the order. As of now, these are oral observations given by the bench of Chief Justice of India.
Okay, all right. To stay with us, we also have Harish joining us on the broadcast. And Harish, one of the key issues that had been raised in the petition by the opposition was that the Election Commission was acting outside the statutory powers. What has the Supreme Court said on this?
No, in fact, let me, for the benefit of our viewers, read out some very pertinent observation made by the Chief Justice bench in the judgment. It says, the Supreme Court, while upholding the power of the Election Commission of India to conduct special intensive revision of electoral rolls, the Chief Justice has very clearly said that it is as per constitutional mandate for free and fair elections. Number two, it is consistent with constitutional mandate, and Supreme Court said it can't be said Election Commission of India acted outside the statutory powers by exercising SIR. It can't be said ultra vires because the exercise is different from what is ordinarily conducted. So this answers your question. Chief Justice made a very lengthy remark saying that after reckoning the rival contentions from both sides and having traversed the sequence of events as they emerged, the submissions advanced on behalf of the parties as well as material placed on record, we are of considered view that the following issue, in fact, the Supreme Court has concluded that SIR is not a process to subvert but to secure mandate of free and fair elections. SIR fulfills proportionality and are not manifestly excessive. It was founded by constitutional purpose of restoration of accuracy of electoral rolls. The measure adopted by ECI can't be held as disproportionate. And another observation from the Chief Justice is that we are equally satisfied that the object sought to be achieved by the SIR bears a direct nexus to the constitutional goal of free and fair elections. It's a very, very significant observation coming in from the Chief Justice bench, and says free and fair elections do not rest merely upon the mechanics of polling. They fundamentally depend upon the integrity, accuracy and credibility of electoral rolls, which form the foundation of democratic process. So in fact, the Supreme Court concluding that the SIR process lends a credibility to the electoral rolls. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Mr. Shekhar Iyer, do you now see the opposition conceding on what they have been raising over the last several months? Now will the opposition accept it now that the top court of the country has ruled on the matter?
Well, the opposition has completely lost their case, before the people as well as in the apex court. Because the way they had taken up this issue, as if the Election Commission was acting without powers under the Constitution. And this whole exercise is about verification of citizens rather than, updation and purification of the electoral rolls. So the very fact that they question the powers of the Election Commission and that these powers were not under the Constitution, that has been completely demolished by the apex court, number one. Number two, whatever, issues the opposition had with the timeline, that has also been more or less settled by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, even during the period when the exercise was challenged in Bihar, the Supreme Court had made it clear that the Election Commission has acted in a very fair manner, given sufficient time. So there was no reason to question the bona fide of the Election Commission's role. I think now the opposition must realize that this, there is a periodic special intensive revision, which is fully under the provisions of the Constitution. And it cannot be anybody's case or any political party's case that I have a right to foreigners' vote. See, that is how the argument was going on. And the reason why a special intensive revision focusing on, whether every voter in particular areas, in particular constituencies are citizens of India arose because of the fact that the number of Aadhaar cards issued and number of actually residents in a particular area is found to be completely different. For instance, in some of the border districts, it was found that there for every 100 voter card, there were more than 126 Aadhaar cards. So that is the reason why the Election Commission had to do what it had to do. And today, it is very, very clear these opposition parties can no longer keep on questioning, raising doubts, just because they have difficulty in winning the people's mandate. See, you cannot mix constitutional issues with what is called, election challenges. Yes. That will continue to be there. And it has been shown in Bengal also. You see, the fact that in Bengal it became more cumbersome, that was because the Trinamool Congress, the party as well as the government headed by it, created all kinds of hurdles in the exercise being undertaken in right spirit. Right from beginning, they delayed it, they did not provide the necessary staff. But, and they're repeatedly coming to Election Commission to see if somehow the matter can be stopped, as if the Trinamool Congress felt that without foreigners voting in the election, they cannot win the election.
And there were questions that were raised on the election commission itself, on the entire process of elections itself, and the credibility of the EC, and that's where the question came in. Do stay with us. You mentioned Bengal, so let me take this across to Ridhita as well. We're also seeing visuals from Bengal, Ridhita, of many illegal immigrants who are leaving from the state. So at a time like this, the Supreme Court verdict becomes very, very important, because in Bengal as well, the SIR had become a major flashpoint ahead of the elections.
Absolutely. You see, soon as the SIR process had begun in Bengal, especially, firstly, the opposition, the Trinamool Congress, the then government, had been opposing it, raising questions on it and stating that people are now in danger because this is a way to NRC. They did not only contribute to creating this fear psychosis, but we had seen how many illegal immigrants had lined up near the borders, especially the Hakimpur border in the North 24 Parganas, where from yesterday and today also we see visuals of illegal immigrants surrendering at the border to just cross the border, stating that we have been staying this side, and since the time Trinamool Congress were there, we at least had a support, we could stay here. Many have told us, in fact, that we stayed here, and over the years many people stayed here, worked, and nobody needed documents and paper to survive and work in Bengal. But now with the new government coming in and the laws becoming strict, because remember yesterday Shubhendu Adhikari, the newly elected Chief Minister of the state, has said that this time it is going to be a government that follows laws and not the law body which follows the government. So this statement has become very crucial, where such where after 15 years such statement is coming out from the Chief Minister's mouth, and he says that crackdown on illegal immigrants is now going to happen at the time when many are surrendering for the second time after the SIR process. That was the first time, and the second time we see after the holding centers being announced, there are again multiple of illegal immigrants surrendering at the Bangladesh border, which is the Hakimpur border of North 24 Pargana, then at Malda, Murshidabad. We also see the Murshidabad and Malda having its first holding centers, where 19 Bangladeshis have already been apprehended. So already this mega crackdown on illegal immigration has affected Bengal at a stretch. At the time when people are fleeing away, stating that the former government was a support to it, we also see that many who could not fly away or did not want to, they were hiding themselves, they are being now caught. So this Supreme Court's verdict has comes as a very important decision today, because you see Trinamool Congress has not been reacting on it since yesterday.
Yes.
In spite of the times we tried reaching them, they are not speaking on it. But people are saying, the ones who are flying away has been claiming that Trinamool Congress has been a support to them, and which
Yes.
is why they had never needed any documents to work here or to stay in Bengal. Back to you.
In fact, the BJP has also said on multiple occasions, especially pertaining to West Bengal, that this becomes a matter of national security and it can't be taken lightly. Mr. Rajagopalan, there were multiple questions, constant opposition fire on the election commission itself. Of course, SIR was one of the issues that they raised, but on the entire election commission as well, the opposition had raised multiple questions. In fact, you also had a situation in West Bengal where the TMC even refused to concede defeat despite the massive loss they had. So with the Supreme Court's verdict now, is the opposition going to now accept that the entire credibility of the election commission has been upheld by the top court?
Pratibha, every time the leader of opposition in parliament, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, should apologize to the nation for having stalled the parliament on SIR. And he took a Padayatra in Bihar, in which M.K. Stalin and others joined. All the Akhilesh Yadav also joined. As per today's Times of India Kolkata edition, I would read out the screaming headlines, which is available on the internet. Border post sees long queues of Bangladeshis returning home. What does it indicate? Much before the Supreme Court judgment, this leaving for Bangladesh has started. That is SIR. Supreme Court is backing the SIR. Right? Apart from that, for your viewers, Times Now viewers, I would like to say 6 former election commissioners, from Gopalaswamy to T.S. Krishnamurthy, V.H. Sampath, and even Sunil Arora, all of them sat together and guided the present election commissioner, Chief Election Commissioner, Mr. Gyaneshwar, for drafting this thing for 6 months. It has been on. Still, Mr. Rahul Gandhi had the audacity to say inside the parliament that he will chase out the Mr. Gyaneshwar, the Chief Election Commissioner, and he will be even after retirement. We will chase. This type of political statement should have been avoided. Yes. Now, can he eat up what he vomited, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, or for that matter, the TMC leaders are Mahua Maitra, who moved it in the Supreme Court. Today she is in London. What does she know? I saw her tweet along with Panivel Tyagarajan today. So these are all certain jokers in Parliament, and also spoiling the mood of the electorates.
Yes.
Creating this type of fraudulent activities.
Okay.
All
This goes beyond just questioning the election commission. You're saying the opposition leaders who were raising these objections should now apologize because the top core of the country has spoken. And Akanksha, there were many opposition leaders, and in fact the Congress party had also claimed there was vote chori going on. So this version of the Supreme Court comes as a huge setback to the vote chori gang.
Absolutely, Pratibha. The Supreme Court has said that SIR cannot be struck down. Let me take you through more of the key observations. To simplify this for you, we have generated these images through AI. In fact, number one is the Election Commission of India has the power to conduct special intensive revision of the electoral roll, and that is what the Chief Justice has said. The excise advances the constitutional imperative of the free and fair election has been the observation of the Supreme Court. Free and fair election do not rest merely on the mechanics of the polling. They depend on the integrity, accuracy and credibility of the electoral rolls. Fourth observation is that the measures adopted are not excessive and bear a reasonable nexus to the objective. And also the safeguards embedded in Rule 21A are subsumed within a broader framework of SIR deletion, cannot be said to be contrary to the procedure of the rule. So this is what the Supreme Court has said, the key observation. So let me take you through, in fact, how the Supreme Court has upholded the Election Commission's power to conduct SIR process. Election Commission has power to conduct SIR, and that is the key takeaway as far as this entire judgment is concerned. That Supreme Court has held that the Election Commission of India is empowered to conduct SIR. SIR is consistent with the Constitution, is what the Supreme Court has said. Legitimate purpose, proportionate measures. Supreme Court has found that SIR to be based on the purpose, the measures adopted are proportionate, they're not excessive, they have a reasonable nexus with the objective of the SIR process, necessary because of the changing realities of the country. Supreme Court very importantly has noted that 40 plus years since the last revision took place, mass additions and deletions have happened, migrations have happened, possible inaccuracy there in rule. So these have been the key observations by the Supreme Court. But most importantly, what the Supreme Court has said, that SIR, it cannot be in fact removed, and it has upheld the legality of this entire process.
Absolutely. Mr. Shashank Shekhar Jha, before I come to you, I just want to play out what the opposition is saying on this. This is the first reaction coming in. Let's listen in.
माननीय सुप्रीम कोर्ट के फैसले का समाजवादी पार्टी सम्मान करती है, उनके फैसलों पर हमें कोई टिप्पणी नहीं करनी। लेकिन अगर कहीं पे 27 लाख मतदाताओं को वोट से वंचित किया जाए और न्यायपालिका कुछ नहीं करे, तो निश्चित रूप से सवाल उठेंगे। और देश के संविधान ने सभी नागरिकों को यह अधिकार दिया है कि वो सवाल पूछे। अगर बिहार में 0 मकान नंबर पे कई लोग रह रहे हैं, अगर बिहार में और दिल्ली में भाजपा के सांसद दिल्ली और बिहार दोनों जगह वोट डालते नजर आएंगे, सवाल तो उठेंगे, और सवालों से परे तो कुछ भी नहीं है।
आज माननीय सुप्रीम कोर्ट का एसआईआर के ऊपर फैसला आ गया है। माननीय सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा है कि एसआईआर की पूरी प्रक्रिया सही है। एसआईआर कराना ये इलेक्शन कमीशन का काम है, और एसआईआर जो इलेक्शन कमीशन ने कराया है वो बिल्कुल ठीक कराया है। वो संविधान के अनुकूल है, रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ पीपल एक्ट के अनुकूल है, जो कंडक्ट ऑफ इलेक्शन रूल है उसके अनुकूल है। जो एसआईआर के बारे में बहुत सारे अपवाद बताए गए थे, एसआईआर की बहुत सारी कमियां बताई गई थी, माननीय सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उन कमियों को स्वीकार नहीं किया है और कहा है कि बिल्कुल इलेक्शन कमीशन ने फ्री एंड फेयर तरीके से पूरा एसआईआर किया है। मैं आशा करता हूं कि अब आने वाले टाइम में भारत में कोई भी जो विदेशी है, जो घुसपैठिया है, चाहे पाकिस्तानी, अफगानिस्तानी, रोहिंग्या, बांग्लादेशी या कुकी है, उसका नाम भारत में नहीं होगा।
So, Mr. Shashank Shekhar Jha, while the opposition was claiming vote chori, the Supreme Court has said SIR is not a process to subvert, but it is to secure the mandate of free and fair elections.
Namaste Pratibha ji and my fellow panelists here. Pratibha ji, we need to understand one thing. When this SIR was conducted, you need to see that they are talking about or questioning about Bihar and Bengal. Bengal had 90 lakh voters deleted. But when you see it compare it with Tamil Nadu, Tamil Nadu had 97 lakhs. So what? Tamil Nadu got only one BJP MLA. So you need to understand that the election commission is not a wing of BJP or this government. Election commission is an autonomous statutory, autonomous constitutional body which has its own power as guaranteed by the constitution. And in past 70 years, election commission has taken n number of measures in order to secure that the election process is secure. Now, opposition has time and again targeted election commission, sometime through EVM, and now they are doing it through SIR. You know, without looking into their own chapters, they are targeting election commission. That is why they are not winning. My point is very simple. Today, the government, the Supreme Court has clarified, while being the guardian of the constitution, that election commission was equipped enough to take these measures, and SI is not happening for the first time in this country. SI has happened in past, and it is happening again. Now, India is a country of 145 crore population, so you cannot have an election without such measures where foreign neighbors are coming and voting for in your election, and then because it will lead to unfair elections. So it is very good. Now opposition targeting election commission, their supreme leader was targeting the election commissioner of this country. It was very unfortunate. I don't understand what is the motive behind that, or what are they gaining from these things. So like my fellow panelist Shekharji was saying here, all opposition should actually look into their own aspects and must reevaluate their strategy against the government of the day, or the fight, or their policies, or on which they are fighting. I don't find it sufficient enough that the energy and the efforts they are using, by maligning election commission before Supreme Court time and again. Because this is not the first time. Today there is one more petition where they have challenged that election commissioner should be appointed with involvement of Chief Justice of India. That is also pending before Supreme Court today. But in their own states, if you see Kerala, the election commission was appointed as the advisor of the chief minister the very next day. So they are not talking about their own conduct. So this is so unfortunate.
Okay, so you're saying there is an hypocrisy from the opposition. But the question is, now that the Supreme Court has spoken, will the opposition concede or not? That is the question. We are still awaiting, of course, a reaction to come in from the top opposition leaders who have been very often talking about vote chori. We'll have to leave it at that. Thanking Shashank Shekhar Jha, Shekhar Iyer, as well as Mr. Rajagopalan for joining us on the broadcast. More reactions are awaited, and we're keeping a track of that. Quick break. We'll be right back.